Hello all you happy people. It's time for Horror Nights History, Reflections of Fear, Part 6. Yes, this is now the 6th part of my history of the events of Halloween Horror Nights 18 Reflections of Fear back in the year 2008. Pardon me. Now, in my previous... Well, before I get to it, now that I think about it, I have received a request from a nice young lad who calls himself It's Cows Go Moo. I don't know why he called himself that, but anyway, he wanted me to say hello to his buddy Kane for him. So, hello Kane! How are you? Yes, this is Dr. Jimmy saying hello to you. Remember, Kane, stay insane. Sanity is for the weak. Okay, I've done my duty, providing the little shout out. And having done that, I can proceed with my continuation of where I left off last time. Last time, as you recall, I was right in the middle of body collectors' collections of the past, quite literally. I had been describing the interior of the house, and I left off just at the scene, right after you go into the barber shop, and as you come out of the barber shop and pass an old hand-crank telephone, and I don't know if they had those in Victorian era London, but I think they came a little later, but oh well. And then went through around the corridor. There was a body collector busy sawing off a fellow's leg, hacking it off. And the fellow, of course, is screaming, "Help me, help me!" And you say, "Sorry, you haven't got a leg to stand on." I did say that. I'm sorry, I did. Really. Ask the character involved. He probably remembers it. Oh yeah, smart ass with the long hair and the glasses. Because that was the first year I had the long hair and the suit. So I wore a lot of jackets and ties too. He probably remembers that. Oh, I didn't have the glasses then though. I usually wore contacts back then. Recent things with my eyeballs make it more difficult to wear them, so I wear glasses now more frequently. But yeah, but I had the long hair and the tweed jackets and stuff like that. All right, where was I? There's a cat here, but she's not getting within camera range. She's like right outside, fussing, twitching her little tail at me. Getting back to the house. So as you pass that, you go down further into the corridor, and there's some hanging cloths with some creepy drawings on them, and you go through those, and you come into one of the neatest parts. It's about the center of the house now. One of the neatest rooms. It's a circular room. And what it is, it's designed on the old operating theatres they had in the Victorian era. Now, in Victorian England, they didn't have television or radio or motion pictures yet. They had some really nifty shows in theatre of all types, of course. But another way you could amuse yourself during this time and go and see an entertainment, besides seeing, some comedy or musical sort of dancing and maybe even some scary stuff. In the 1880s, there was a huge hit play of Jekyll and Hyde happening right about that time. In fact, the actor who played Jekyll and Hyde was a suspect in the Ripper murders. But at that very same time that all this was going on, there's another way of entertainment. You could go see an operation. That's right. Or you could also go see an inquest, or public juries and stuff. These are all open to the public. But what was really fun though was a coroner's inquest. Because sometimes, for the Ripper murders, you could actually see them talking about the bodies and describe how, and maybe even, I don't know if they actually brought the bodies out. But you could also go to an operating theatre at a hospital, because these were open to the public, and there were seats located. Nowadays, when they do this, usually it's medical students, not the general public. They don't like charge tickets and charge admission, a shilling to go in and watch them hack open a body. Now, that's the sort of thing you used to get to do. And you'd sit up there and go, "Ooh, he's cutting open now. Ooh, blood spurt, spurt, spurt." And, it was a lot less hygienic and a lot more exciting, and more likely to have the poor chap or lady being operated on drop dead during the operation. Plus you might get to see a bit of nudity or something else during the cutting and the sewing. It was titillating, exciting. Yeah, so that was something that people did for fun in those days. So this is an operating theatre, and you have the centre where the table where the surgeon will be doing, you're performing the surgeries, and then up around, all in a circular formation, it's like a little arena where people are sitting in tiers where they can look, oh my, stalls set up to watch them. And in this case, it's all body collectors. The whole audience consists of body collectors sitting quite still, and most of them appear to have been mannequins that were designed to look very, very lifelike. But you know that a few of them, probably near the front in certain areas, but you don't know which, were characters waiting to at the appropriate moment as you walked right next to them. So that was fun. And then in the middle, of course, you had a recreation of one of the hit scenes from the original 2005 Body Collector's House at Islands of Adventure and Terra Cuentis and Halloween Horror Nights 15. And that was the spinal extraction scene. There's a victim on the... It's been done 3 times now, actually, because they repeated that scene yet again in a house in Halloween Horror Nights 20 in 2010. So we've seen this scene 3 times over a course of 5 years. So we had the victim, usually female, on the operating table. The body collector, who is a surgeon, is struggling hard. She has a big incision on her back, and he's pulling and pulls the spine out. Creak, snap, and it pops up. And he's quite pleased with himself, all smiling at the collector, and all the collectors start clapping. And of course, everyone in the room, walking around this and watching this happen, the guests will do the little golf clap too. Bravo, yes, very good, very good. Well done though, chap, well done. And the body collector is like smiling and taking his bows. It's just quite delightful. Very delightful scene. And it worked very well in 2005, it worked 2008, and even in 2010 it worked, because it's always a winner. It's always a crowd pleaser, and you know, the whole... Very good. So after that, you went through some corridors. I think there was a place where a lot of the extracting and stuff had happened, because the body collectors cut people up and store the bits in little jars and on shelves, and there were shelves where they had little teeth and bones and bits and pieces, and big shelves with jars of eyeballs, and of course there was a collector lurking behind the shelves, come out at you, and then of course there was a dummy that's been used many times. It's a male torso that's been slit horizontally, and the pieces, you know, shuffle in and out like drawers, and we've seen that more than once in various houses, but I think this might have been its debut. I might be wrong, it may have showed up earlier, perhaps the original Body Collector's House, but it's a really nifty manitronic, or whatever you want to call it, we've seen a few times, and this was one of its star appearances. Then after you go through there, you go into a series of corridors where it's crypts. You're going to the crypts, and there are shelf-like bunks, and you have dead bodies in there. And you also have the body collectors, the rather brutish, thuggish assistants sleeping and taking naps. And they might jump out at you. You're not sure which one is a dummy and which one is a character as you go through there as well. After that is one of the niftiest distracto scares, where you look up a flight of stairs, and on an upper landing is a smiling, demented body collector, and he's holding something and fingering it. This, of course, is a letter opener. Imagine, though, that it's a much larger, more elegant blade, the Terra blade from Terra Cuentis, used in the rituals of the Terra Throne back in 2005. And as an homage to that original body collectors, he's got that blade with him, and he's kind of displaying it and grinning and showing it, ha 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 ha. And you're looking up at him going, ooh, he's kind of scary. While you're not realizing, as you walk along, there's 2 areas on either side of you with curtains and boo holes where the assistants can jump out and get you as you are ogling their master above your above you. And after that, then you would go into one of the final passages, and now it's sort of like you're outside again, and you're going through down this corridor. At the very end is a window, and there's one of those lovely prostitutes who bring back the whole Jack the Ripper theme, and she's screaming, help, help, help! But before you can help her, it's like, ah! She gets pulled aside, and one of the body collectors grabs her from behind and slits her throat, and then she slumps over, and she's all dead. Oh, what a waste of a lovely tart. And then you go past that scene, and there's big arches as you go through crypts and corridors, maybe like in a catacomb or a crypt under a church or something like that, or some of the alleys in some of the darker recesses of Whitechapel. And as you go through there are body collectors on either side of you. It's one of those little gauntlets as you leave a house. As you're going out to the exit of the house, they're on either side of you, and you're never quite sure which one is going to come at you as you leave. All the little top hats looking very dapper, those happy gentlemen. So that was Body Collectors Collections of the Past. Again, of all the houses that year, that was my favourite, and I loved it quite a bit, as you can probably guess by my enraptured description of the whole thing. Now, if you want to see that house, I think there's some walkthrough YouTube videos here and there, and there's even one that was a preview with Roddy of parts of it that was shown on the news. But what is another way you can experience the house, sort of. You see, after the event of Halloween Horror Nights 18 ended, after it ended, they didn't tear those sets down right away. Those sets inside the inside the soundstage, I think it was soundstage 20. May have to go back and double check, but I'm pretty certain that was the stage that was used for these two houses that year. The set was left standing for a motion picture. Not a very big motion picture, mind you, it's a little one. It's called a scare zone. Again, please, this reminds you that I'm flipped backwards. Sorry about that. Reflection of fear. Anyway, this scare zone, and here's a DVD which came out a little while ago, and hold it closer so you can get a better look at the pictures on the back, because the sets that were used in the movie, and look, a body collector. Yes, that's the body collector that floats. Well, the first one you see that's floating, that was him, wasn't it? Yes. The sets were used for the motion picture of this particular scare zone were used. What they did was, it was the story of this horror movie takes place in a haunted attraction, Halloween haunted attraction at an amusement park. It doesn't specifically name it Universal Studios or Halloween Horror Nights, but it takes place at such a place, and there's a haunted attraction, and the kids go in after hours and nasty things happen. Now, it's not specifically body collectors in the movie, and they have other characters that would not have been in that house, you know, that sort of thing, but the sets are still the same sets. And some of the props are still in there, so that's what you can experience a bit of body collectors after the fact by watching this movie. And I say it's available on DVD. Scare Zone. Alright, now we move on to the next house that was sharing the space with body collectors in that big soundstage. So it's our next house to talk about. It's called Interstellar Terror. Interstellar Terror is only one of a few science fiction themed houses, and the only one that I think that actually took place in outer space. There were houses, I think it was called Total Chaos or something, back in 2000 or 2001. I don't want to go back and dig through my notes, but you know, in the early 21st century there was an alien abduction sort of house. That's most memorable to me because of the smell when you slid down the slide. They don't have slides in houses anymore for a while now. Let me think. There was yes, I'm counting down to 15 already. Damn. But anyway, let's get back to it. This is set in outer space. It is believed to have been largely inspired by this motion picture to some extent. Event Horizon, a movie which starred the old Antichrist himself. What's his name? Played Damien as an adult. The guy from Jurassic Park. What the hell is his name? Sam Neill, yes. And of course, Lawrence Fishburne, the Captain Coral, Cowboy Curtis, also known as Morpheus from The Matrix. And well, enough of that references. It's time to stop because it's already 15:30. See you for part 7.